Welcome to the Cobra Cast for another episode of the Brett Plattner Coaches Show. Last week, the season tipped off with the Jamboree and our first game versus Royal Valley on Friday. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Can you give us your thoughts about how last week's Jamboree and the Royal Valley game went?
Yeah, the Jamboree is always a good test for us because, I said this in the first Coaches Show, we don't want to shy away from competition. Ultimately, competition, you rise to it, or if you don't rise to it, you got to figure out things in order to get there. And at the Jamboree, we saw Clay Center and Nemaha Central, both very solid squads, bigger schools than us. And they did a lot of things defensively and offensively that challenged us, made us learn from those experiences, both whether it be defensive rotations or our offensive movement. The Jamboree, I thought we had a good experience headed into Friday with Royal Valley. And as far as the Royal Valley's game is concerned, obviously the result isn't what we wanted. And it kind of got away from us in the third quarter, but I think there was a lot of positive takeaways from the Royal Valley game that we can use moving forward, namely our ball movement. We only had 2 assists the entire game versus Royal Valley. Anyone who knows basketball knows that 2 assists in an entire game is not going to get the job done. So we got to have better ball movement. We got to have better player movement off the ball. Got to be more willing to make a decision that's best for the team, not necessarily best for us when we are attacking the rim. And overall, I thought the defense was fine. But when you're struggling to score on the offensive end, sometimes your mindset on defense wanes as the game carries on. But ultimately, a lot of things that we took to the drawing board to improve upon on Monday, and hopefully we can put out a better performance tonight versus Troy.
We got 2 extremely tough opponents this week. How do we prepare our team for the teams that we will see this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the way you want it, in my opinion. When you're building a team, you want to get your tests right off the bat. We mentioned this, and we don't need to dwell on it, but in football, a lot of our opponents early in the year didn't test us. And by the time those tests came later in the season, there were some situations and things that, we weren't necessarily as best prepared for that we could be. So on the flip side in basketball, we came out the gate with a very solid Royal Valley team that returned 4 or 5 starters. We knew was going to be good. We come with a Troy team that was highly successful in the TVL, brought a lot of starters back, and then a St. Mary's team that's ranked in the top 5 in 3A. So again, a lot of things that we can learn from these experiences as far as what defense is going to work best for us based on the group that we have. How do we need to move, and how quickly do we need to move on offense in order to create those open opportunities? And if we learn those things and then take them into the latter part of our schedule, I feel like we'll be a successful team in the end.
How important is it to get Drake back into the flow?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that make him important as a player for our team. A lot of people see the scoring and the numbers he puts up as far as the scoring aspect is concerned. But when he's healthy, when he's confident, he's creating a lot of opportunities for others. And that's the main thing we need to see within our offense. I mentioned on Friday, only had 2 assists in the game. He's someone that, can beat his guy off the dribble, create shots for others. So hopefully as he gets healthier, he gets more confident. He works into more practices with us. He's able to facilitate more on the offensive end, create those opportunities for others. And then, as we draw into Christmas break and after, hopefully we can see the best version of him.
How does this team personality reflect the way you played at a high school player?
I think, anybody who would have played with me in high school, anybody who's been around me knows that I'm very competitive by nature. There isn't a lot of games that we lose that I'm not affected by it, at least personality wise. I don't like to lose, and that's very well known. So I would say this team is as much as any is like a sponge. They soak up information. They're willing and ready to learn, and they are competitive. And no matter the opponent, they're going to put their best foot forward, be as competitive as they can possibly be, try as hard as they can in order to be successful. So I hope the players see that in me. I hope when people come to the games on Tuesdays and Friday nights, they see that competitive side in me too. And I hope that the team on the floor reflects that willingness to win.
When did you know that you wanted to be a head basketball coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say I always knew I wanted to be involved in sports in some capacity. I always took a liking to sports, in my youth, my middle school, and my high school days, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, track, anything that was a sport. It was something that I enjoyed. And I would say the decision really came to when I decided I wanted to pass on some college opportunities for basketball. whether that be in AI or elsewhere. Wanted to forge my path at K-State and just be a normal college student and kind of start that part of my journey. But I knew I wanted to stay in athletics in some capacity. So teaching and being able to teach and then get those coaching opportunities from teaching was something that was very attractive to me, is something that I wanted to get involved in. And, I made that decision late my senior year. As I mentioned, it was kind of a spur of the moment, but never wavered since then. And, teaching, coaching, you're in some ways, you have oversight, of course, but you can kind of be your own boss and be comfortable in your own skin and express yourself in a way that's not a regular 9-to-5 desk job in some cases. So I would say I'm very happy with that decision. Coaching's given me many opportunities, especially Jackson Heights, and hopefully those opportunities and success can still come with it.
Well, all right. That's all the questions I have for you today. Coach, thanks you for joining us today. And to all of our viewers, make sure you get out and support the Cobras as we travel to Troy today and are home on Friday versus St. Mary's. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Ryan.